And we're back for another exciting episode of the Creators Collective. We are back for episode number 98. Only 2 more to 100. We've got to do something fun for that. But this will be an excellent show because we have all 3 people here. So we didn't actually kick Will out of the show. We just banished him for a week.
they've threatened multiple times.
We banished you to a boat.
I think we should do for the 100th episode, we should do like the Making It 100, but the Creators Collective 100, and we'll do it in Newport Richey, Florida. It's a destination spot. What do you guys think?
In like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
We've heard glowing, recommendations for
being
Florida
completely sarcastic in case nobody picked up on that. If I only had voice, like inflection in my speaking, maybe more of my jokes would land.
Well, this week we've got a few things coming up. We will be doing the Photos Creator Challenge and choosing a winner for that one, so that should be fun. Also, I do want to say a huge thank you to our patrons on Patreon, particularly Darren Mates, Caleb Harris of You Can Make This Too, John from John Made It, and our newest patron, Robert Grant. Thank you for that. You're helping make this better, so woohoo.
You nailed that one, James.
I did?
Yeah.
The name? Oh,
The name,
I got
yeah.
Robert Grant. Great. No, thank you. Yes, if you have an easy name, please become our patron. I can do those. So if you want to listen to us, you can do so on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, or wherever you want to. And we do this live every Thursday usually every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. But this time we are doing it on Wednesday because I'm going to be gone. So speaking of which, what do we have going on this week? Zach, what you got?
So forging hammers. I got my new Chili Forge showed up in the mail, and it's pretty amazing. Single burner, a lot more efficient. It's like I feel like it's I guess volume wise it's probably the same as my old one, but it's just laid out way better. It's the heat transfers better. The opening is bigger. I can get my tools in there to grab hot stuff more efficiently. So I got the Tabasco. The Chili Forge Tabasco. So that thing is fantastic. So I've been just kind of putting off work last week, both because I'm just, burned out of the 100+ degree weather that we still have here. So I'm just kind of needed a break from that. And I wanted to wait and do my forge.
Driveway as a forge?
What's that? Yeah, I think so. I could probably cook food in my driveway. I was saying before the podcast, I bought one of those little digital infrared thermometer gun things, and walked around my shop yesterday, and it was pretty much 130 degrees almost everywhere, and that's not taking into account like the 80-something% humidity, so it's brutal in there. But yeah, so it's been really nice just actually being back out in the shop and working, although it's way too hot. It's just I sleep better and I feel better, and yeah, so that's been good. Forging some hammers, and ordered up some new engraving tools, like old hammer and chisel engraving for metal. Got some ideas that I'm going to try and work out here over the next week or two. So I tried forging my own out of 5160 spring steel, and the edges just don't hold up for carving in metal. It's great for like copper and softer stuff, but it just the tips just don't hold up. So I finally bit the bullet, and there's a site called airgraver.com, and he sells also. I didn't buy an airgraver. Those things are ridiculous.
I was going to say, ooh, I'm happy.
Yeah, they're like $3,000, but like, I guess it's hard to explain how amazing they are until you've tried doing it with like a chisel and a hammer. And once you try that and you're like, man, this is really hard. And then you see the airgraver and he'll go like, looks like an 1/8 inch deep in like 3 seconds and do these perfect spirals. It's crazy. Anyway, where am I? Fusion 360. Been kind of trying to move over to that. I've been sort of finally spent a little bit of time designing stuff for my Xcarve, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, SketchUp's great, but I feel like if you ever actually want to use your design for anything other than designing, like you you need a more powerful program. So been doing Fusion 360, trying to figure that out. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to this week.
Cool.
What you got, Will?
Well, I was at the beach last week, so that didn't suck. What am I working on? I'm picking up the for a contractor here in town. The client wanted some built-in shelves, kind of cabinets on either side of a fireplace. So did that out of birch plywood with poplar face frames and soft maple kind of tops. And I'm picking up some more soft maple to make some doors for the lower cabinets today. So I'll wrap that project up. And then from that project, it looks like I'm going to be getting some more work, custom woodwork stuff through this contractor. And I'll just be kind of like the go-to guy for anything custom out of, wood on the finer end of just not just framing and things like that, but if they need anything custom because they don't have the know-how or the tools to mill, go through the milling process of, jointing, planing, things like that. And so they're kind of limited to working with just stock that they can get from the lumberyard or the big box store. But so that's pretty cool. I'm working on products to put in my online store. That's been pretty fun for me because it's doing kind of whatever I want to do instead of, commissioned pieces where I have to ask for the client and, make concessions for things that I don't want to do. But I'm about to start work on a live edge, curly, spalted ambrosia, soft maple.
Is it live edge?
Not for a while. And I wasn't quite sure what to do with it, but it's pretty big. It's probably 36 inches across and 8 feet tall. So I'll probably cut it down to something like 5 feet or 4 feet, maybe make 2 tables out of it. I haven't decided on the base. It'll probably be steel, maybe walnut. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. My forge came, speaking of forges, and it's still in the box because I don't have a place to put it in my shop yet. So this afternoon, I think I'm going to clean up this way, and it's going to live on my welding table for a little bit, so I can really do some heat treating on some larger kitchen knives. I might be building a dining table for a client here in town, kind of simple French farmhouse style, but I put a bid in, haven't heard back yet, so we'll see if that happens. And then yesterday around 5 o'clock, my friend Rich dropped off some massive walnut slabs. He sent me a text and said, hey, I've got these slabs that I want you to book match for me. And, I said, sure, that sounds great. And then he showed up yesterday, and they're 10 feet long, 3 inches thick, 4 feet wide, 2 of them. And I went, okay. They're, massive. They're each like 200 pounds, something like that, at least. So got to wrap my head around that. I was thinking
garage for a while.
Yeah, I was like, where do I put these? That, and I picked up some really nice figured box elder from one of my slab guys, and I'm thinking about making either a ukulele or a mandolin or mandola or a guitar. But that's I might start small and then move up to a guitar. But I got Tommy Huffington in the back of my head going, do it, do it, do it. So that's what I got.
Work.
So that's what I got going on. How about you, James?
Let's see. I've got a video come out Thursday talking about rust prevention, where I actually went through the entire shop and talked about my normal procedure, because I have it all written out and taken care of that I do once every 6 months, and then once every year I do a slightly different one. And so it was kind of a fun way to do that. And I had a lot of good comments and responses in there about other things that other people do. And I don't have a huge amount of rust problem down in my air-conditioned basement. And so some of the people that had a harder time with that actually were able to put quite a few good comments down in the comments. So it was a very good video. Splayed dovetails. Yes, I'm having fun with those. Made a step stool for my wife last week, and that video came out Saturday, I think it is. But the video that's coming out later today or tomorrow will actually be how do you hand cut splayed dovetails. And when I first saw them, I thought, that's difficult. I mean, dovetails themselves are difficult, but then once you put an angle into it, then you got compound angles to cut. And it kind of scared me for a while until I wrapped my brain around it. I realized, wait a second, with hand tools, it's the exact same thing. The only difference is you're not using a square, you're using a bevel angle. What's the word I'm looking for? Bevel gauge. So you're not using a square, and it suddenly became really easy and obvious. And with the hand tools, it's probably quicker and easier than anything else you could do with a jig. I don't know how you have to create some wacko jig to do them on a table saw at that weird angle, and it'd be kind of fun to do with power tools. But yeah, so that'll be coming out tomorrow. And then, last night we did a live video with my wife, and I'm actually starting a series where I'm teaching her woodworking. So how do you teach a beginner the things that you know? And this has been kind of a learning process for me, because teaching someone who's never handled a plane before, how do you push a plane? It's so ingrained and so obvious to me that you grab the plane and you push it. But for her, it's something completely new. And that one actually kind of caught me off guard, because I had her working on my bench, and my bench is on the high side for me at 6'1", and she's 4'10". So she's working up at her armpits, and I didn't think it would be that much of a problem, but if you watch the video, it was horrendous. It made it so she basically couldn't use the plane. And so we're going to be changing up a few things to do it next week, and then next week I'll be teaching her about saws. So it should be kind of fun. But yeah, cool. That's what I've got going on.
What's the name of the dovetails that are, I always forget the name of them. They're super cool. Where they're almost like scalloped, where like they're staggered, like one goes really deep and one goes shallow and one goes deep. And
I know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
Or like something type of dovetail.
Wolf's tooth sounds like, yeah.
James. Yeah, that's where there's like you put a dovetail inside of a pin.
No, it's just, I mean, it's kind of the same idea, but like they go deeper and they're staggered.
Is it not like what you'd see on the end of like a tail vise piece on like a
houndstooth? Yeah,
houndstooth.
Okay. Houndstooth dovetails. Yeah, I have very little interest in, like, I mean, not that I don't appreciate them, but like for what I do, it's just it's not something that's like normally. It's not something that I could normally work into my workflow, but man, like there's a picture I'll post in the link. They're just so, I think they're so cool. Like, I don't understand. I guess I don't participate in like all the dovetail craze, but man, these things sure are cool.
The dovetail craze.
The dovetail craze. It started sweeping the nation.
Since
it's the hottest thing since
500 BC.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Wow,
probably older than that.
Why can't I open the?
Speaking of teaching, I thought it was pretty cool. My buddy works at my hardwood dealer, and we've been friends for a while. And so you go in, hey man, what's going on? You know, not much. And I left the hardwood dealer, and he sends me a text a couple days later and says that there's a 14-year-old kid that came into the shop, and my buddy started talking to him and said, like, oh, wow, that's super cool. You're into woodworking. You're 14 years old. That's awesome. Where did you learn most of your stuff? And the kid said this YouTuber, Will Walker. And like my buddy immediately texted me like, hey, like, you know, this 14-year-old kid came into the shop and said, like, you know, you taught him via YouTube.
That's pretty cool.
I just thought that was like, my heart just swelled, and I was like, oh man, all the feels. That felt really, really cool. So I just thought I'd mention it, that, you know, what we do on YouTube actually makes somewhat of a difference out there. So
that's crazy. Yeah, that's super cool.
I actually got to connect this week with the guy who taught my dad, and his shop was the first woodworking shop I was ever in, and I actually did my first couple projects in there. And so it was kind of fun to actually touch base with him and say, you know, just to connect with that person who made such a difference in my life, and I've never actually talked to in a long, long time.
Huh, cool.
Yeah.
I forgot. I think I forgot to mention. I think I posted that video within the last. I put a new video up in the last week, and it's just gone. It's just exploding. Just funny because I predicted. I'm like, this is like not one of my favorite videos I've ever
file
done.
handles.
So yeah, I'm like, this is like, I felt like this is kind of lame, so it's probably going to do really well, and it's been just exploding. So, but yeah, it pushed me over the 100,000 mark. So I'm finally a member of that club, which is cool.
Woohoo! Don't you get some sort of play button or something for that?
I think it takes
like
a
year or
while.
two, they'll send it to you.
I think so. Yeah. I've been checking my inbox and I haven't gotten anything from them. I don't know if you're supposed to, but apparently I'm supposed to get some sort of email so that I have like some contact there in case I have issues with things.
Wow, the big boys club.
Yeah. Yeah. You get 100,000 subscribers and you get customer service.
Wow. That's
they actually give you like an email of somebody instead of having to fill out like an online submission form that nobody will ever read.
You are now officially on the radar.
Yeah. Now, if my whole site gets deleted, I can actually send somebody an email and say, "What's going on?"
Wow.
I feel powerful. I feel empowered.
Big time.
Yeah.
You've made it.
Yeah.
I commented on somebody's Instagram the other day. Somebody posted something on Instagram asking a question. I commented on it. I can't remember what I commented. It doesn't matter. But somebody had already commented basically the exact same thing that I did. And then, so I saw that and I said, "Oops, sorry." Like didn't realize that you so-and-so had already said that. And the person came back and it was like, "Oh no, it's cool. Just some big time YouTuber, like, on the Instagram correcting me. No big deal." And I was like, "Really? Am I big? I'm not a big time." Zach is a big time.
No. I'm going to say Johnny is big time.
Johnny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just kind of funny.
I think it's the carrot. It's like the carrot in front of your face that you're like, as soon as I get there, then
when I hit
I'll
1,000 subscribers, life will be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, but
next stop, nice stat.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you say we hit? We have a couple questions, and this week we also have the Photos Creator Challenge, so we have quite a bit to do.
Yeah.
Let's see. Thalweg Design.
Yeah. Yes, I sent him a shirt a while ago.
What are your favorite ways to develop new skills? Just attended a symposium. I've learned a lot from your videos and would like to have. I've learned a lot from videos like yours, and have learned a lot through trial and error. Wow, I need to learn more about reading.
Through trial and error.
Yeah. We'll get there, James.
So what are your favorite ways to develop new skills?
What are your ways to develop your favorite ways to develop new skills? I think for me, it's see a skill or a technique that I haven't tried yet and try to incorporate it into a project. Failure to me is the most efficient way of learning. If I try a new skill and fail, I have found that there's usually a certain point that you fail. It's not just like the whole, I didn't just like, throw my saw at a project and, call it a failure. But, there's probably a step in that skill development that I failed. And then I take a step back and was like, all right, well, that was really frustrating, but why did I fail? What about that went wrong? And then I try to do it again and focus on trying to not get that specific thing wrong. And then you just develop your skills through trial and error. But yeah, I think just trying trying something that you haven't tried before is the best way to develop a skill, or to ask for help if you know somebody in your area that has done it and they're willing to teach you, to get into their shop somehow and see how it's done. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think I tend to learn a little bit better by myself than I do from a person directly, just because I tend to learn in a very different way. And so for me, I like to actually, I'll go on YouTube and I'll research some things, and I might read a book or pick someone's brain. But then when it actually comes time to do it, I hit the project with the mindset of, I'm going to mess up. This is going to look bad, and that's okay. And just being okay with the idea that my first attempt isn't going to look great. It's the first step on the process. That's okay. That's the way things go. It kind of takes all the pressure off, and I dive into it and I have more fun. And that having that fun in that first attempt, even though it comes out poorly, kind of gives me that impetus and drive to try it again next time. And the more I let myself being okay with having problems and messes, the more I do in it. And the more I do, the more I get better, the more I have that experience to draw on. And I get to a certain point where I've done it enough and I realize that my skill level isn't improving much. And that's the point. Then I'll go to someone else and say, okay, now here's what I've been doing. What have you done? How do you conquer this? And I find at that point, now that I have a basis for doing something, I can then draw other people's ideas in without messing something up, if that makes any sense. But I'm a very odd learner, so.
No, I mean, I feel like it's building on experience, like if I looked back, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and, saw the stuff that I was making now and think about it like as just like hindsight of like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this like in this project. I would think, I was like, that's crazy. Like, no, I can't do that. I don't have the skill for that. But you chip away at it, a little bit at a time. Just, and you build on those skills. Oh, this is kind of like that other thing that I did, but just a little bit different. And then you build on that, and then you look back and you're like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, that was like exercise. Yeah. Like if I tried to run one of James's crazy, marathons or Ragnars or whatever, 100 miles, I would make it about a half a mile and want to die. But the next day I might run, 3/4 of a mile and want to die. And then the next day I might run a whole mile and be like, where do I puke? But that's, you don't just start out with all the skills unless, you're me and Zach thinks that I'm just the best bevel grinder.
What about you, Zach?
I don't know. I like to do as much research as I can before I jump in, just to, where'd my window go? I feel like it's hard to talk to you guys if I can't see you. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Although I'd look like a blind guy, just like, anyway. No, I feel like it's important for me. I like to do as much research as I can and try and pick up. I mean, I feel like so much of the new skills isn't just subtle details. Like there's things that you don't think about until you're doing it. And I'm just using the most recent thing I'm trying to learn, which is like engraving with a hammer and a chisel. There's things that you watch a video and you're like, okay, I got this. You hold the thing and you hit it and it works. Okay, cool. And then you go out there and you try it and you're like, it's not working. Like now I have all these questions, although I just watched the video and I just, read all about it. There's things like, oh, I didn't think about it. Like what angle do I hold this at? How hard do I hit this?
Of one finger changes everything.
And then you have to go back and then you're aware of these things that you weren't aware of before you tried it. So I feel like, like I said, the first time you're like, you look at the big picture and you're like, okay, you're holding the thing and you're hitting it. And then you go out there and you're like, well, okay, I forgot. I didn't pay attention. What angle is he holding that thing at? Does he hold the angle at like 30 degrees or is it steeper or less steep? And so then you get all these questions. You go back, you watch the video again and you're paying attention to all these little minute details that you didn't pick up the first time. And then you get that and you go back out there and then you have more questions. And it's just kind of this process of, kind of going back and forth between learning and doing. And I feel like they're both equally important. You can't just do one without the other. So I feel like you just really have to like cannonball into it. You just have to dive in. I think that's what works for me, because you can have all the knowledge, but if you don't have the experience, it doesn't do you any good, and vice versa. You can have the experience, but doing it wrong without the knowledge, and you're not going to get far either. So yeah.
I feel like that's very similar to what I was saying, of kind of like, failing is the best teacher for me. It's like, because when you jump right in, it's like, oh, well, the thing went wrong here. What am I doing wrong? And then the next time you're paying more attention to that, or, seeking information from somebody else, from another source, whether it's book or YouTube or blog or a class, or just watching somebody else do it. But yeah.
Make Brooklyn just posted, I want to see Will run a Ragnar or whatever. Can we start a GoFundMe for that?
It would be the shortest run ever.
Good stuff.
Yeah, speaking of which, my wife actually did complete the Ultra Ragnar this weekend. So,
wow,
31 miles.
Wow,
that's crazy.
And that being said, she only trained for the regular Ragnar, so she was training for the 15-mile distance, but ran the Ultra.
Wow,
yeah, that doesn't work for my body. Like I took like 2-3 weeks off of like going to the gym, and I went back and I knew it, because for some reason, like I stopped 2-3 weeks without going to the gym. I went back and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go with the lightweight. So I did some squats with like, I don't know, like 125 pounds, which is not impressive at all. Like it's like emasculating to lift that little in the gym. Like when you have you're like squatting with like 25s or something, 30, I don't know, small weights, and it's humiliating. And I couldn't walk for like 2 days. And I usually can squat a fair amount, but it's so like, yeah, I take 3 weeks off and it's like I have to start over. So I don't know how you can train for 15 miles and run 30. That's insane.
I had a friend who was planning on a marathon, and her longest run was 8 miles, and she still completed under 4 hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm more of a conditional runner. Something has to be chasing me. Why are you running, Will? Yeah. All right. Well, I have a question for the Q&A.
I was going to say, we have a question from this weirdo named Will.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? I'm a third of this podcast. I can ask a question if I want in the Q&A. No. So I've been, as I'm getting to build more and more of my own stuff, I've been looking for more inspiration. So my question to you all is, who are your favorite current furniture makers? So like the people that are still producing to make money. People like, for me, it's people like David Stein, Greg Clausen, Martin Goebel. Yeah, so that's my question. Who are your favorite furniture makers right now?
I don't have any right now, because I don't care about like who's current or not. I just like, I guess, what I like. I don't know if that counts. Like Charles Rennie Mackintosh is just,
yeah.
I mean, most of the designers I like, probably like what they design is the least comfortable things ever, but they look super cool. Like it's the design that I'm into.
Sure, it's form over function, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I don't know. I like I really appreciate the artistic, like the mindset, and I feel like for me it's more inspiring. I mean, there's comfortable chairs everywhere. I want one that's like, whoa, Yeah. You could still sit in them, but like Frank Lloyd Wright everything he does is super cool. I think he's kind of similar to Mackintosh in the way that everything's like rectilinear and kind of arts and craftsy. really cool stuff. Gio Ponti is one of my favorites. It's an Italian guy. Jean Prouvé, super cool stuff. I think he kind of has like that 50s modern industrial vibe to a lot of his stuff. It's like right when, what they thought was modern or futuristic in the 50s, kind of like that, like almost Jetsons type.
I was going to say the Jetsons, like a lot of three-legged table stuff.
Yeah. Raymond Loewy, who's, he's like the godfather of like industrial design. So like all of those, any like Art Nouveau poster probably has like the Raymond Loewy train or the Raymond Loewy bus, or those old things. Just it's like 50s industrial stuff. Arne Jacobsen is a little bit more modern, like Danish style stuff. He was one of the first people that did like the molded plywood chairs and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I like a lot of the older stuff. I like things that are, I don't know, like impactful visually.
See, I like a lot of the Frank Lloyd Wright, but it's in the craftsman, arts and crafts tradition.
Yeah.
I like his stuff. Modern makers, I have to give a shout out to Bearcat Woodworking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
His stuff is phenomenal, and it's very, very different from anything else. He has a style that is very much his, and that influence of the ocean, very, very beautiful stuff. Others,
I feel like he draws off of Maloof a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, but it is very like Brian, like, dude, if you're listening, your work is amazing. I'm not saying that you're ripping off Maloof. I think you're, yeah.
Okay, I got one. I have a modern one that I was trying to think of his name earlier, because I think he's pretty much only on Instagram. But Jory Brigham is amazing. I mean, just it's super cool. Everything's very tactful and it's good stuff. Check it out.
Yeah, I think another one for me is Adrian McCurdy.
Don't know him.
He's from the UK. He does a historical, well, semi-historical. It looks like it's from the Middle Ages, but he takes wood and lets the natural twist of the wood fit the shape. So he'll reeve out oak. So you're getting the ray figures, but if the board twists, then the chair top twists. And everything is fit to that natural bend and flow of the wood. Almost That's looking cool. Like it was all finished with an adze. Very, very beautiful stuff.
Yeah, it's neat.
Man, it sounds like this built-in that I just did. The walls were like crazy crooked.
I'm looking at this table by Adrian McCurdy.
Put a link in the chat.
It's almost like a parallel universe version of Nakashima, like just in the way it kind of like takes on some of the wood stuff. I get excited about design stuff. This is so cool. Yeah,
another one that is
link in live chat to that table, which is amazingly cool.
Shit.
Another one that's been a big influence on me recently is Seth Roland. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he does these massive rocks in furniture. Absolutely gorgeous stuff. And a lot of times they're like a counterweight. So you have this, 300-pound boulder at one end that allows you to cantilever out this massive structure, or simple modern designs with a natural rock in the middle of them that everything flows out of. Really beautiful.
I would love to see that. You should put it in the live chat.
I did. So yeah,
here we are.
That's what influences me. Yeah, let's jump into the creators photo challenge. Talking about influence. We're going to be picking one of them this week, and I think it's my turn to send a gift. Am I right?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll send you something. So let's do a card scraper. So the person that wins this will get a card scraper in the mail.
Way cooler. Way cooler than a T-shirt from me.
So Zach, why don't you kick us off? Who do you like?
So my first choice is let me scroll down. Is Chad's Custom Creations. I am trying to find the actual picture so that I can explain it here. Where's the picture at? There it is. Okay. So it looks like he's using I'm assuming like it's a oxyacetylene torch and cutting, and it's just like the color grading and I feel like I can't use these words in front of Will because I might slip up and he'll say that's not correct. I don't know. It's just a good, like, it looks like if Mike Rowe had another TV show or something, it looks like it could be like stock footage or like, I don't know. It just has like this really like rugged industrial, like
the ominous clouds in the background.
Yeah. It's just cool. It's like very, it captures the idea or the spirit of what's going on very well. I don't know how you say that differently.
Now, if anyone wants to see the pictures we're talking about, they are linked in the description of the video. So, or the podcast. There's the word.
So that
is my live. We'll putting them in the chat.
That's my first choice, and then my second is Brandy Obey, which is it's like this. It has like this Blair Witch vibe to it. It's like a black and white picture with her dog and like this super cool thing that she welded up. It's like a light. I don't know if she's finished with it yet, but it's just like, it's eerie, which I'm totally into. So I think it's super, super cool. I like that one a lot.
It is, yeah.
A light or a wind chime?
I think it's a
light.
It
looks like a chandelier or something.
Yeah. She's really cool. She's one of my patron members. So like every Tuesday there's a live chat and she's usually on it. So I haven't,
according to the hashtag, it's a hashtag big ass light.
Yeah, if you go to her Instagram and like this, like 2 pictures back, she has a picture of her standing next to it, and
it's like 3 by 3 by 4 or something like that. It's huge.
Yeah, it's very cool. So, yeah, I like that one. It stands out to me.
Make Brooklyn says the perspective force makes it look like a dog trap. Cool. What about you, Will?
So I too picked Chad's Custom Creations just because I thought it was it showed different like section planes. So where he's on top of the steel, and you can see the sparks coming out from below the torch. And I just thought it was a really great photo. My only 2 things that I think that make this a better photo is to straighten the crop. So the piece of steel runs perfectly horizontal across the frame. Just that little bit of off kilter. This is constructive criticism. I think it's a great photo, and you can make it better by just rotating the crop just a little bit. And I think it's slightly over edited, but it's just a really, compositionally, it's a really great photo. Sorry, I don't mean to be saying it's my favorite and dog on the photo. I think it's a great photo.
When I first saw it, I thought it was a bit grainy, but that was because I was watching it on my 30-inch monitor. Whereas if you look at it on your phone, it looks perfect.
Okay,
I like it.
All right.
I think
cool.
It's good.
I think it's good and stuff.
You picked it.
Yeah. And then my second one was from Tommy Cronholm. And Tommy Cronholm is it's just a really beautifully lit, it looks like it's going to be a picture frame or some sort of square mitered frame, and it's just beautifully soft side lit. The lines are really pleasing. He paid a lot of attention to his horizons and making things very linear. It's just a simply compositionally nice photo. So those are my 2. James, who do you got?
Well, I as well am going to pick Chad's Custom Creations. I know it's metal, and I'm like the hand tool guy, but it looked really cool. Just the sparks coming out, the ominous clouds in the background, just a well edited picture. I'm having issues today. So yeah, you got mine. Then I also have to pick Wavy Cycles. He has this S bent piece in the coals, and it's a very simple picture, very little added to it. But the composition of it just really kind of sung to me.
Yeah, that
I
one
know.
was,
I picked two metalworking things.
Well, what's this mean?
Well, I think Chad, yeah, James is jumping into a new obsession. So I think that makes Chad the winner.
Yes. So Chad, get in touch with me. I'll probably send you a DM here in a little bit, but let me know, and I'll get you a card scraper in the mail. So, do we have a topic for next week? 2 weeks from now. This will be the 100th.
Ooh.
Episode.
Shoot, I wasn't prepared. We're a day early. I was supposed to have another day. I just got back from the beach.
How about if we do something simple like wood grain?
Wood grain, okay. Yeah, I'm down.
That sounds like a nice one for the 100th.
I wish I had some wrought iron. Then I could do like metal grain, and it'd be like,
How about just grain?
Like
it could
wheat?
it could be if you're creative. It could be film grain. It could be metal grain.
What's that shirt you got on there?
It's this guy. He welds and stuff, and makes furniture and fabricates.
You're really gonna wear that ZH stuff? For those of you who don't know, he's wearing a ZH fabrication shirt.
Yeah, I was trying to show
one.
It's gray in person, but
yeah.
I thought I would give some maker love to my co-podcast host, Zack from ZH Fabrications. Make Brooklyn says clearly it's laundry day for Will.
Do I have one of your shirts, Will?
No, I've got a Teespring campaign, so unless I bought it and sent it to you,
which
or unless
you didn't,
you bought it, which I didn't.
Which you didn't. Am I gonna have to like win a photo challenge or something to get one? What's up?
Yeah, man, step up your game.
Cool. So for next time, then shoot a picture with grain, whether that be wood or metal or plastic grain, something showing off the grain of material you're working on.
Or film.
Yeah. Film. Material you're working with.
Yeah. All right.
So we will be doing that for the 100th episode. Should be kind of.
Should we have a guest for the 100th episode?
We don't yet.
Should we?
We'll talk about that.
We'll see if we can get one.
I've got David Lyle on the from Popular Woodworking. He's totally stoked to be on the show.
Maybe.
Okay. We'll see.
Well, we don't have an official joke of the week, but my son came up to me and he said, "Dad, I've got a joke for you." Now, consider he is 7, and he made up this joke by himself, so I thought it would be perfect for the podcast. And that joke is, why did the mattress get in bed? Because it was sleepy. So yes, that's for my son JJ. I think he's writing new chicken crossing the road jokes. So
that's good. So I'm trying to decide. I'm going to hold another phallic object in front of the camera. You gonna see that? See that thing? It's like bronze gold looking with like a blue and black handle. So I was just messing around. Handle black? It's blue and black, so it's like a burst. It looks like really nice black on the edges. Yeah. So I don't know if I want to keep this or auction it off, but I figure maybe I'll give people on the podcast first crack at it. So I don't know.
For those listening, what type of hammer is it?
I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's like a weird sort of ball peen. There's a video of it on my stories. I haven't posted any pictures.
I say it looks more like a square peen.
Well, it's round. Effectively, it's round.
I'm saying the head and shape. But
oh yeah, the front of it's, I don't know. Anyway, there's a thing of it on my story, but I was figuring I'd auction it off, but then I was thinking like maybe I'll give our podcast listeners first crack at it. So most of the ones that I auction go for around like, I don't know, like 200-ish, but I don't know if somebody from the podcast wants this thing for, I don't know, like let's do 150. Send me a message. First one, it's yours. I'll send it to you. It's cool. So there you go.
Cool.
It's a nice mallet.
It's cool.
Well, let's get into what is inspiring us. What are we watching, reading? Will, what you got?
So I've been doing one of the first knives that I made just with me washing and drying and putting it away without having anything on it. So it's just raw, or cutting jalapenos or limes or anything like that, is getting super corroded super fast. Like you cut a jalapeno and 2 minutes later, like the acid has etched. So I've been watching some videos on corrosion protection for knives specifically, and specifically Self-Made Project did a really, really great test where he had, I don't know, 2, 4, 6, maybe like 8 or 9 knife blanks that were all laser cut exactly the same out of 1095 carbon steel. And he put them on a board and held them in place with just a couple of nails, and set it outside on a picnic table for like 2 weeks. And he had each blank was finished with something else, whether it was Renaissance wax or 3-in-1 oil or paste wax, or if it was blued and then another thing on top of that. And it was a really surprising test. 3-in-1 oil, I think he did 2 coats of 3-in-1 oil. Seemed to do the best at corrosion resistance over all 8 or 9 blanks. So I thought that was a really interesting test. But now I'm thinking, with something like a kitchen knife, you probably don't want to put 3-in-1 oil on it that you're cutting food with. It's not
3-in-1 oil is basically just mineral oil with a few other extras in there.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you see my story the other day?
I don't know if I want to drink it, though.
Did you see my story the other day, James? Yesterday, I was complaining, like I do a lot often, about the tip on the 3-in-1 oil containers. How,
yeah, I saw that one.
I don't know who like let this one go. Who's like, that's a great idea. Let's run with that. So the only way the liquid comes out is if it's pointing up and it like drizzles down on itself. So like, if you turn it up.
Was it the one with the straw in it, where if you pull it out?
Yeah, the marksman spout is what they tout it as. It's terrible.
So you pull it out. It is annoying that you have to hold it way up here to pour oil down here. But if you pull the spout out, it will pour down.
Oh, that's still stupid. Like it. They create a bigger problem than they solved. They're like, well, how can we have this thing work upside down? Why would you ever? Like, there's gravity. Why would you, like, unless you're spraying it up in the air, like, why would you ever need that new function of like, well, now it works shooting upwards so that, I don't know. I just don't understand the mentality. But so it works upwards, but it doesn't work pouring down like you always use lubricants because of gravity. Yeah, it's terrible. So so James was that your pick last week? That golden whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought one. It's like $6
Except for the one you got was bigger than the one I have.
Was it?
Was about half the size of that.
Huh. But, yeah, it's certainly big, but I mean, it's not huge, but it's, I don't know, it's fine. I didn't realize it was big until you said something. So.
Comparing the size of
there we go.
There's that's what she said jokes in there. I'm sorry. I'm 12.
Yeah, so it's 6 ounces. The one that I got is 6 ounces. I'll put the link in the chat. Yeah. And by the way, anybody listening to this podcast afterwards, the hammer's gone already. Sold.
You gotta get these things.
All right, but back to my thing about corrosion tests. Yes. I thought it was interesting that 3-in-1 oil was the best. Zack, do you have any experience with corrosion resistance for kitchen-y things?
No.
Cool.
For non-kitchen-y things, I think boiled linseed oil seems to work surprisingly well. Mm-hmm. I've tried all sorts of other stuff. For furniture lately, like if somebody wants like a raw steel finish, I've been having pretty good luck with cleaning it up, hitting metal with a torch to get all like it condenses the moisture, whatever. And then you wipe it off and then coat it with paste wax. And I've been getting pretty good results from that. Although there is a company, I got to give them a shout out. It's called Shark Hide or something like that. They sent me this this metal. I don't know. It's supposed to keep raw metal. Well, I just haven't had the opportunity to use it yet. So yeah, but it's supposed to work well.
Cool.
James, what are you watching and reading? What's inspiring you?
I'm actually going to pick something slightly different and go with the YouTube channel Studio C, which I'm sure most people have heard about. It's a comedy channel, and they do sketches, kind of like a Saturday Night Live type thing. But they just put out a video about dad jokes, and I thought it was apropos for the podcast. And it is probably my all-time favorite Studio C sketch. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, it's just one you got to watch. So if you like dad jokes at all, yeah, I'll leave a link to it. What you got, Zach?
So earlier I had mentioned I was learning Fusion 360, and I found a guy who does videos teaching Fusion 360, and they're pretty good. It's like from the ground up. So I'll post a link there.
Cool. Well, what is your tool of the week, Zach?
So I'm going to go with that infrared temperature gun. You guys all probably know what I'm talking about. It's just like a little gun that you point at things and it tells you how hot it is. I initially didn't think it would be very useful because most of the stuff that I'm doing is like above 1,000 degrees. But for tempering and quenching and just, you know, if you're forging stuff, it's really handy to see, because if something's under like, you know, 400, 500 degrees, it's usually okay to quench it without hardening it. So it's really handy. Plus it confirms how miserable my shop is, which makes me happy.
I use mine when I'm making boiled linseed oil.
It works in liquid, huh?
Yeah. Because I can actually shoot down through the oil and get the temperature of the pot at the bottom.
Huh.
Rather than just the surface of the oil.
I wish those things worked for like steaks. How cool would that be? Like meat, you could just like, you could sense like the inner temperature.
Yeah, a nice 130, take it off, you know?
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Cool. What about you, Will?
So I'm going to go with the CMT style and rail bit set for making cabinet doors. So I had a mission style bit set in the shop, and the clients decided they didn't want a straight shaker door. Sorry, I said mission, I meant shaker. They didn't want a straight shaker door. They actually wanted some sort of a profile on the inside of the door for making the style and rails with the groove and the tongues. So yeah, it's I found that the router bit sets, they're a little pricey. They come in around $100. But if you're making, you know, doors for clients, it's super efficient. You know, once you get the bits set up, for making doors fast, you know, you can once you get everything set up, you know, you can batch out, you know, 8, 9, 10 doors pretty quick. So if you're doing any kind of production work, cabinet making, the CMT style and rail bit set for doors, and they come in different profiles. You just have to pick the profile you like.
Cool.
So I meant to ask you earlier, you got your forge showed up.
Yeah.
But your shop is in your basement, right?
Yeah.
Where do you use that thing?
I'm thinking about making a cart on wheels, like on casters, and rolling it out. So I've got a basement patio outside my shop door. Okay. So I'm thinking about underneath the deck. Yeah. So I'm thinking about just wheeling it out, and that's like the deck is like 11 feet above me. So wheeling it out there to do all my forge work, and then just wheeling it back in the shop.
What's on your agenda? Since you're jumping into this whole new world, what do you going to start out with?
Kitchen knives. Yeah. So with my online store, I'm launching the William Walker Company home line, and I'm trying to get into a lot of people that follow me for like on Facebook and stuff, follow me for potential furniture that they might want in their homes. And I put a blast out on social media some months ago, like, hey, like, you know, while the glue dries, what are some small projects that you guys would like to see in my shop for sale. And everyone said big salad bowls, kitchen utensils, knives, cutting boards, like pretty much anything that would live in a kitchen. And so I was like, okay. So I want to do some like high-end like chef's knives, like 8-inch chef knives and 6-inch utility knives, and maybe some shorter paring knives, things like that.
Man, I haven't been on your website for a while. It looks good.
Thanks, man.
So next you're going to be selling things at Kohl's with the William Walker kitchen
label.
Yeah, I'll be the next Bob Kramer with Henkel.
So I don't. That is it like a curly maple or something? That desk on your site? It's like the third one down on the main page with the typewriter on it.
Oh, that is curly white oak.
Huh. I have not. I'm assuming you have a video on that. I haven't seen it.
I do. It was probably more than a year ago.
That thing is amazing.
Thanks. It lives in my office.
Wow.
Thanks. Thanks, Zach.
I'm checking out your website, man. See what you
have.
Cool. Well, I think that about does it for this week. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so.
Cool.
Your stuff is way too cheap, Will.
I know. That's what everybody says, but none of it's selling. So
why? Like I can't. That mulberry bench, $500. That's ridiculously cheap. Why is it not sold?
I agree.
Somebody buy Will's bench.
Go to Will's site. Buy his stuff.
Yes, it's www.wmwalkerco.com.
I would, if there were no shipping involved, I would buy that bench from you right now.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it'd probably be about $100 in freight.
Well, on that note, do you want to say a huge thank you to our patrons on Patreon, particularly our newest patron, Robert Grant. Thank you for that. And if you'd like to help out with that, you can find out more about patreon.com/Creators Collective. You can catch us here usually each Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And we will do it live and pull most of our questions from the live chat. So looking forward to seeing you then. That's about it for this week. And until next time, have a wonderful day.
Later.
See you guys.